Bullet Train, the brand new Brad Pitt action movie directed by one of the directors from the original John Wick, who did Atomic Blonde and Hobbs and Shaw and Deadpool 2. So, understandably so, like, from the trailers, from, like, what came out of CinemaCon, like, they got the, the investors and the press at CinemaCon got given shown, like, the first 20 minutes of the movie, and everybody was raving about it, and so the excitement of this movie was like, hey, I'm really looking forward to this. Let me check this out. I felt like this is going to be a great, like, this turn your brain off action movie. And so I walk into the cinema, get my popcorn, I get my Mountain Dew large, and I sit in my cinema seat, which are recliners, and it was a little bit, like, loose in the recliners, but anyway. And I see this movie, and you can tell, and I appreciate this, that it was trying to go a little bit beyond of just being, hey, here's these big name actors fighting each other for 2 hours, right? I appreciate that. But the problem is that because this movie, like, the story it's all surrounding this briefcase and this white dragon character who's like this mystery villain. And you have Brad Pitt's character, you got Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, I forgot the other guy, state the name, and the actress who was in, like, those, like, kissing booth movies from Netflix, she's in this, and each one of them has a story, and their events is happening at the same time, and it's all around this briefcase and this white dragon. If it's not on the briefcase, it's about white dragon or both, whatever. And the story's kind of lines and all that kind of stuff. And you think, okay, this is kind of neat, this is kind of nice, I like this. But the problem with this movie is it is 2 hours long. Now, the weird thing about 2 hours, a lot of people say it's 2 hours, so it's nothing that big. I mean, most movies are 2 hours long these days. The thing is, sometimes 2 hours is too short. Sometimes 2 hours is too long. And for me, this movie was way too long. This movie could easily be like maybe, not including credits, maybe let's say including credits, like a 100-ish minute movie. 20 minutes of this movie could easily cut out. And it's all these, like, Guy Ritchie-isms, where, like, we are introduced to a character and they pause the movie a bit. They pause the story and kind of tell the story of how they got to the situation that they were in, and then the story continues. And I just felt that was, like, out of place for me. It felt like we were pausing the story, like, every, like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes every time, and it felt not necessary. For me, characters were mentioning dialogue. Through dialogue, they mentioning stuff. Now, you may say, well, remember the whole saying, show don't tell. But I feel like this is a situation where you could easily tell, like, okay, there's this guy who's angry, he's looking for revenge of the people who kill his family. And when I mean family, I don't mean just the wife and kids. I mean his entire bloodline. It is literally the events of the 2004 Thomas Jane Punisher film basically happened to this one character, where it wasn't just his wife and kids, it was his entire bloodline at the wedding. And he's angry. And for me, I'm like, you can easily say that by dialogue, because that's what happens. They give you a recap. Oh, he's angry, I understand why you would lash at me and all kind of stuff. Like, it just felt like you could easily done that in dialogue, and not show it. I feel like this is a movie where, like, show don't tell doesn't apply most of the time. Like, there's cameos in this movie that I'm like, well, that was pointless. It's totally pointless. It's like, why is this here? Why is this candidate? They said no plot to the story outside just, it's this person, it's this character. And you're like, lame. But the action, when the action comes along, does sing. It does go really well. You feel every hit, every punch. I mean, it is RMA way, so, there's the blood and the gore and all that kind of stuff. You do care about a couple of the stories, like there's one guy whose son's in hospital because someone pushed him off a roof, and he's looking for the person who is responsible of pushing his son off the roof and kill him and so forth, and understanding why and all that type of thing. And because of it, his story consumes, right? You got twins, and Thomas the Tank Engine is like a metaphor of like who's who and all that, which is quite interesting. I never thought someone would explain a hit list or explain who's guilty or not by Thomas the Tank Engine, which is quite interesting. But the performances are good. The effects can be a bit wonky. There's stuff in the third act where they have like the big giant action sequence at the end, and it does become very like, yeah, you could tell it's CG. Clearly this is a movie that costs maybe, because I mean, you know, knowing the majority of it is set in one location. And by the way, how many times do we have to stop? Like every stop it takes, that the bullet train takes, you know, we need to head off and have a story point why they're not getting off the train, which is okay. But you know, you have great action, and that's kind of it. Like, and I feel like this is a movie that you can easily wait till it hits Netflix. Well, sorry, so it would be Netflix, Netflix or Amazon or Hulu, or Stan, wherever it would drop onto. But yeah, I thought it was fine. You know, I just wish it was, you know, a little bit shorter, because I felt like all those kind of telling us how things happen took away from the story. And if you took all those stuff away, the story and the movie would be a little bit more tightened. And yeah, so this movie I thought was